Jason.
I'm Steve. How's it going?
How you doing today, man?
Doing all right. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I found a little coffee shop that.
Little warmer than we are. We got another gray 40
Right.
degree day in New York here.
I'm working on my pale whiteness over here, but it's coming along. Believe it or not, I'm actually working. So, uh,
Yeah,
so in the spirit of that, this is as hard as I ever work.
yeah.
Um,
No,
we got to take it easy once in a while. So, how's things? How's the car?
car's good. We got a couple things lined up for it. We'll talk about that later. But first, I think we should jump into a topic that we started on last week
Uh,
and just mentioned again. And it's one it's personal to you, hits close to the heart, and
yeah.
that's Doug DeMuro and Hoovie of Hoovie's Garage within days of each other putting out videos on your M5 essentially.
Right. And
One of them was really harsh on it, and then that was Doug.
yeah.
Hoovies is not as harsh on it, and he wants to prove Doug wrong and say that it's not a terrible buy,
Right.
but he
Well,
kind of bought a turd of a car, so it's an uphill battle.
he's
But
not
anyways,
trying
let's
to.
just jump into what was Doug's video? What was the main takeaways?
Let me start off by saying that in reference to Doug's video, this might be whiskey. I mean, honestly, like, you know what? I think the car on the internet is getting a really bad rap, and I think a lot that has to do with it is the cost of acquisition. What's out there? You're getting a third, fourth owner car. It's a high performance car. It's got a very strung out engine. It's not your Camry, and they're
And
not
just to
being treated
specify,
well.
they were talking specifically about E60 M5s, which was
Right.
2005.
In Europe, they started in five. In the
Okay,
States,
so '06
it's
here until when did it end?
till 2010, late to mid
Okay,
2010.
so that generation specifically for the M5 is what we're talking about, and that was the last generation with the V10, correct?
Exactly, yeah. The M6, the E60 one also shared that same power plant with the same years, I believe. I'm not positive, but approximately those same years. And,
Right.
for a few things have to be said. And I did fall and take the bait, commented on Doug's YouTube, which I'm sure he didn't give a crap to read. He already said straight off that all the M5 board members are probably just shaking their fists in anger, and we are tremendously. I think 15 posts have gone up already about it, but all right. Is the car the flaming garbage pail that the internet makes it out to be? It's really not. It's the problem is this: as the M badge started to creep its way onto so many different models in the lineup, they subsequently made more of them. It kind of makes sense. It's supply and demand in simplest
Yeah.
form. So what went from a few failures seemed like a whole tremendous amount. What's really going on is that your numbers game is different. So if you had 30 of something and five of them failed, those five people, would largely get unheard because there's only five,
Right.
But if you got 300, 3,000 of something and 500 of those fail, that's 500 angry people taken to the internet, crying and moaning about an SMG pump or whatever. And it's like, okay, a few things are really happening going on right now. The debate about the rod bearings is just that. If you're driving the car as a street car, meaning you have a license, you're not under any kind of parole or suspension, the police are not looking for you right now, you're driving the car like a car, you're not going to be changing rod bearings out of it. It's just how it is. If you're using the right oil, if you're letting it warm up and cool down, basic stuff, you're not going to need to. This is the second M5 now. First one was the E39, and that one was way worse, at the time for
Right.
failing spinning bearings. And now all of a sudden, that's the $40,000, car that I should have kept, and it's this skyrocketing in value. And all of a sudden, everybody forgot about the rod bearing issue.
Well, and that's one of the first things that Hoovie said when he brought it to his mechanic is he's like, "Oh, we got to do the rod bearings."
I feel
That was
like
his main focus.
yeah, because that's the thing that's being parroted across the internet. And you ask why? Well, why is it? Is it really something that we know will prevent it? No. Has it become a side entity where people sell rod bearings and people sell services and they know about the hysteria and they feed into hysteria and they post
So, what's
pictures?
BMW's recommendation? When are they saying that they need to be changed?
Well, not, and this is with a grain of salt, but BMW doesn't admit, you know, to any kind of problem with the engine. They will not
So it's
say,
not even. It's not like it's on like timing chains
no,
at 70,000 miles for
Absolutely.
Audi. Like it has to happen. Like this isn't protocol.
This is a lifetime fluid, in BMW's words, where, for example, like you don't crack open their transmission fluid because it's lifetime fluid. I don't agree with that kind of stuff, but they are not even viewing this as a problem with these engines. So it hasn't been enough. It hasn't been like with the Porsche with the IMS, bearings failing in their motors. It hasn't gone to that level according to BMW. Whether they're right or wrong, I'm not here to comment on. I mean, I
Right.
feel like if five cars had something internal like that happen, they should own it because they're so big. And they definitely have, the funds to do so and just keep people happy. But just because they are so big means they don't have to keep everybody happy.
Right.
So to get into that is a little bit more of a discussion than, that I'm prepared to have right now because I don't work for them or anything. But as far as the car itself, okay, everybody talks about the bearings. The truth about it is if you are racing the thing, or if you are abusing it, or if you live in Soviet Russia and it's minus 30 degrees all the damn time when you start the thing, you may want to consider doing it. Maybe 100,000 miles, or maybe the past 30,000 miles have been pretty rough on it, depending on the driver. So I think you got to look at the car and see where it came from. And if I bought like a Hoovies special, like that purple reddish car that he bought for 6 grand, that would be something I'd do in my garage myself. It's not like this impossible task. It just has to be done right.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'd really trust any shops to do it. I
So
think
how
I'd
much if you wanted to do the rod bearings on yours, what would it cost you to do it yourself?
in parts myself, because I'm a guy that'll change all sorts of stuff like the pump and the chains and just, like treat it like an airplane as far as the maintenance goes. It would probably cost me about 12 to 1500 bucks.
Which is
Labor is labor, but you know,
which isn't even that crazy because back in
not, you know what your brakes cost in this car? 12 to 1500 bucks. It's a
right,
brake
but it's
job.
like I remember back when I bought my Audi, I bought my Audi with 68,000 miles on it, and at 75,000 is when the timing chain was supposed to get done, and that's where at 18 years old I got a rude awakening to how much German cars were to maintain.
And
Took
they
it
are.
to the Audi, took it to the Audi dealership, and they were like, "Yeah, it's 1,800 bucks." I believe that was the number. Might have been 15. It was a long time ago, but regardless, it was a lot for back then.
Hmm.
But that's like an official preventative maintenance thing that everyone knows you have to do on Audi. Like this rod bearing thing, that's not that crazy when you look at the cost of maintenance on some of these
It's
cars.
not, and it's not a must.
And
It's
it's
not
not.
a
That's
must.
exactly it. It's not a must.
It's really not. And I think that's getting such a bad rap. And you know what's crazy is like I know if you tag this podcast YouTube with hashtag rod bearings, we're gonna get like 2 million views in 5 minutes because it's really just getting overblown. I mean, the first car, the E39, with the supposed worst rod bearings in it or whatever, that car is still going right now. It's got 175,000 miles on it with the original rod bearings. Another guy, I still talk to him. I mean, these cars are not lemons. They're not bad cars. It's just that if they are abused, if they do break down, they're going to be expensive. You're buying a V10 with 507 horsepower.
Yeah.
You know, this is accept it. Go buy a Camry if you want something that you
But
can
this
well.
is also 507 horsepower in an era where there wasn't 500 horsepower cars from the factory.
Exactly.
Like to put it
Yep.
into perspective, 11 years ago you weren't buying 507 horsepower engines.
Right. So, there's a lot of negative press that this car is getting. The SMG, it's not that bad. I wouldn't pick that car if I had to go sit in 2 hours of traffic just because it's annoying, but it's not a car that's going to break
I've
down.
ridden it with you, and it's not. It's to me, it's just like it's the equivalent of riding in a stick shift car with a heavy clutch.
Right.
I mean, it's
You
like
know,
when you've been in a car where the clutch is more like an on-off switch.
right.
That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, and as far as reliability goes, okay, so at one point, yeah, an SMG pump was like 4 grand. Now, people are figuring out that you don't have to change the whole pump. There's
Yeah,
pieces in the pump that can be sourced aftermarket or OEM, much cheaper. You're talking like hundreds, not thousands. So you lose the pump or, the hole sensor fails that tells it where the position is. Go on the internet. There's so many DIYs. There's so many things that regular people can do. You don't need to be, a service tech. Um, it's a car that can be owned. It's a car that can be maintained on your own. I would not be afraid of it. I've had mine 4 years. I mean, what failed? Let's see. A $650 throttle actuator. That sucks, but I was done with it in 2 hours, and it still got me home. It'll use like the idle control valves to get you home. So the car is not like a strand me every 5 minutes car. In
Right.
fact, let's see. Let's play a game. I've got 4 cars in my garage right now. One's a Nissan, one's the M5, one is a Mercedes truck from 2001, and one is a Porsche. It's a GTS. Okay.
And only one of them stranded you in
One
the
of them,
last week.
one of them left me on the side of the road last week. All
And
right. Shocking. I'm going to break the internet in half right now. It wasn't the M5.
right.
Oh my
Yeah, I
God.
got the picture. It was not.
No, it was the super reliable, very basic 4.3 liter out of my Mercedes ML truck.
Yep.
And it just lost power. I'm not entirely sure yet what it is. I think I've narrowed it down after process of elimination, but it resulted in me getting towed home. So,
Yeah.
go buy something reliable, they said, you know?
Exactly.
Or you could just drive a 500 horsepower monster, and if it breaks down, it breaks down, you know? But anything that,
I've had brand new cars strand me before. Weird things
absolutely.
sometimes happen.
And I got to be honest, okay? If I was two different people and I said, okay, one guy's going to buy the M5 that's 10 years old and it's got this horrendous history and everything else, or I'm going to go be sensible and I'm going to buy a brand new Camry and I'm going to just suffer with what everything that comes with that, but I'm going to have a reliable car. I got to feel about 5 times dumber if I'm on the side of the road with a Camry than
Yeah.
on the side of the road with the M5. At least like the M5, I deserved it.
Yep.
I had my fun and I'm paying for it. The Camry, you've had no fun and you still may pay for it. So,
But I mean, at this point too, I don't think most people would be looking at an 11-year-old M5 as a daily. I guess depending on where you live.
right.
For us, in the Northeast or anywhere with climate, I mean, it's 507 horsepower and rear-wheel drive. Yeah, of course you can
Right.
put snow tires on it, but that's never going to be ideal.
No, and the transmission, if you're gonna daily it, I would probably tell you to get the 6 speed. And I'd never really say that for that car because it's
Right.
not really what should be in it.
Yeah, because that
But
car was designed for the 7-speed
it's
SMG.
easier. It's easier to
Inherent,
daily
right?
that car in a 6 speed manual, even in snow. I've always had better luck in snow with an actual manual gearbox rather than
Yeah,
trying to
same here.
use an automatic. It just gets you out quicker. You're more control over it. Um, But yeah, that's kind of what I would put forward as far as all this hysteria going on. I really hope that Hoovy, after his first video, because he made it like this could be the biggest money pit in the world, and it can, but you also bought a $6,000.
He's also slightly biased in the fact that he has had very bad luck with BMWs.
The
But
seven,
on that point, he
right?
also bought he bought a 97 M3. That one just seemed like bad luck. Everything just kept going wrong with that one. But the first BMW he bought was one of the early 90s. What was it? The 850. The
Yes,
funk.
that's right. That's right.
Those. I mean, have you ever heard a good story about those? They don't exist.
I
Like
haven't
that
heard
car
it.
was a nightmare when it was
Right.
brand new.
I don't even know anybody that has one, so
Because everybody avoids. So it's like, in that sense, that one's not really fair because
right.
that car had bad news written from the get. The
And that's the
M3
thing.
that did seem like bad luck, and this one would be hard to say is bad luck too if it ends up going that way. It's because he bought a $6,500 M5
Right. So are you gonna
with
feel
30
bad?
codes. He bought it with 30 codes.
So are you gonna feel bad for the guy when he has to put 5 to 6 to 8 grand into it? No, because he's still well below what they should be.
But
That car's
even if
25
he
grand.
puts 10 grand into this car, for
He's still ahead.
16.5, that's still a beast of a car once it's sorted.
Right, and in
It
fact,
really
after this
is.
video,
I mean, I've ridden in it. I
right,
can say that it absolutely is. It sounds comparable to a Lamborghini of that era, which is so cool in a sedan,
hmm
and it rips.
yeah, I would honestly say that this car, my prediction, where it's going to go, even with all the hysteria and everything else, when the dust settles, this is going to be the best bargain that anybody can buy who wants to wrench on a car, who wants to actually invest money into it and keep it going, because there ain't ever going to be a car like this again,
No, and
and
that's
they're
what we
not that
discussed
bad.
that before. Is no one's ever going back to V10.
No,
The trend is not going to switch back around.
nope,
V8s are going to be lucky to last a few more years. V10s,
right,
outside of ridiculous Italian supercars,
right,
are dead. It's dead.
right. So for the
Even
money
the
invested.
Dodge Viper is talking about coming back without a V10.
Exactly. For the money invested, there is no better car. I still stand by that. Forget reliability. Mine's been reliable. Maybe I'm just lucky. I don't know. Maybe I just take care of it. Maybe it's a little of both. But even if it did break, if this thing cost me 5 grand tomorrow, I bought mine for 26,000. I've had it 4.5 years, no problems. If you leased the Honda Civic, what would that have cost you in 3 years?
Yeah.
I mean, so why is the world falling about this car? I can't
The
follow
one,
the thought.
the bit of irony I find in Doug's video, and he's always very honest, so it's hard. I'm not going to knock him, and I love his content. It's just this one was very personal because of
Yeah,
your experience with the car, but he also admittedly loves crap Range Rovers, and he will call them as such. He he dailies a Land Rover Discovery.
hmm,
Where I'm from, originally, that was like there was tons of yellow Discoveries with Connecticut plates on Nantucket when I was growing up,
right.
and they were not reliable. They rusted something terrible. He's
You
got a
know,
Range Rover that, yes, he ended up with that CarMax warranty, and he actually, I think, killed the CarMax warranty industry where
right.
he got rid of it. But I think it was like a 5 or 6 year warranty that he bought for a few thousand. And
Hmm.
he on his second channel, he did a video where he added up the total cost, something like $30,000 or $40,000 worth of warranty work for that Range Rover. But
God.
he loves it, and he'll say that that's one of his favorite cars. So it's
Right.
like you have to take what he's saying with a grain of salt, because he also knows that there's certain cars that are worth the risk, that are worth the potential trouble if you love it.
Right. And that's exactly how I place this car, you know? And
And I also I don't think I would put this car nearly in the same category as Range Rover. Range
no,
Rover
I don't think so.
consistently throughout my adult life has consistently been in the top 10 least reliable cars every year.
And it's a good thing that they're good off-road vehicles because that's where you're going to find them off
Yeah,
to the side on the road.
yeah.
But
The only way you would ever catch me in a Range Rover is if it was under warranty and it was somehow a steal, because there's so
right.
much else I would rather buy for that money. But
You know
owning
what?
a Range Rover out of warranty, absolutely terrifying.
Right.
Don't know why anyone would do it.
And forget the car itself, the M5, whatever. You've got the trifecta. If you want something good and fast, it won't be cheap. If it's
Yep.
cheap and good, it won't be fast.
Yep.
You can't get around that. It's just it doesn't matter what car it is. Right now, it's the rod bearings in the M5. It doesn't matter. Pick a car. It's got a problem. You know, it's just that this is the hot button right now, I think. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna hang on to mine, I guess. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. The only thing, I mean, what do you replace that with? I mean,
Exactly. That's the tough question. Is you've got a 4-door full-size sedan with 507 horsepower that
right,
sounds like a supercar and handles as well as just about anything on the road.
right. And the wife can drive it. It's it's got a mode that's like mimics an automatic transmission. Like it's
Yep.
perfect. It's a perfect car. Any guy could own this car. Any girl could own this car. There's no special requirements, and you could be very fast and make every shift. Haven't missed one yet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
know. But, I like it, whatever. Let the internet, you know what, more for me then. That's fine. More parts left over for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where Hoovies ends up, and I hope he's able to turn it around. Just because you can tell he wants to prove Doug wrong, because the two of them they have a very fun back and forth relationship, and
You
I
know,
think it'd be fun for him to get a win on Doug,
I'll,
especially on this
I'll
car.
give you a little bit of a, I don't know, spoiler alert, but knowing the cars, knowing the codes, and I already know where this is going, I'm going to say that Hoovie's going to turn this around and show that this car is not a pile of crap, and it's actually, it seems scary because, all these codes came up, but it's been neglected, and mostly every Beamer I buy comes with a few problems, and I fix them for next to nothing because I know what
The
I'm
flip
doing,
side of this is, even with 30 codes, he drove it to the garage.
which is insane. That should have been on a flatbed,
I agree, but just to prove a point, it made it.
Right.
It didn't
It,
strand
it
him.
will get you home. Yeah. I actually, besides the throttle position sensor, I forgot, in 4 years or 4.5 years, I also had one more failure. A coil pack failed. And the car, when I started it up, politely told me, it said, you have reduced power. You'll just have to get home on 300 some odd horsepower and 9 cylinders. So,
Yeah,
like, oh, well, I guess I've got that going for me. So,
it still got you home though.
yep, with
And
plenty of power to spare.
and
So,
how much was a coil pack?
Uh, unlike what Hoovie quoted, I think I paid $60 for an OEM Bosch. Did it myself, 5-minute job.
And a
So,
coil pack isn't any cheaper for any different car unless you go used.
right. And
Coil
why would
pack is coil pack. Like, that's not that big of a deal.
exactly. So I say go buy one if you're on the fence about it. pay more attention to who owned it, not as much attention to this rod bearing hysteria, because who had it before you? I'm the second owner. The guy who had my car, that was his cheapest car. He had a set of Ferraris, he had a Carrera GT. Like, this is a guy that you want to buy a used car from. You
Right.
know, you want to buy it from like a 22-year-old kid with neck tattoos. Nothing against tattoos, but that probably wouldn't be my
Or do you
choice.
want to buy it from Hoovy?
Maybe after he's
Unless you're
done.
Tavarish.
Right, right.
He loves to take on Hoovy's mistakes.
Right. Oh man. So that's my prediction. It's going to come out all right. It won't be as expensive, and it'll start to show its value. But it won't matter because the internet people are going to do what they do, and most of them don't know anything about cars anyway. So
I mean, it is. That's kind of exactly it too. Is once the internet has decided something, it's not really going to change.
right,
Not anytime soon, at least. So it's
right.
the price on these might dip, but I think in the end, I think if we talk about 5, 10 years from now,
Not even.
I think they're going to
Not,
be worth. I think they are going to be worth what they should be worth, and it's because they really are. They're a car it's an end of a generation type car.
right.
It's just like M5s are still an amazing car.
Mhm.
They're more capable now, just like all cars are. Things improve, but it's not the same.
This might be the most important M5 that we've had besides the first one. And the reason I say that, obviously, because of the power plant, because of the way that everything's going now, because of the succeeding M5 now pumps fake engine noise into the
Yep.
speakers. Like, it's
Yep.
different now. And back then it wasn't. And very simply, I think in the next 2 to 3 years, here's what will happen. The cheap ones will be bought. You buy a car for 20,000, 15,000 or less, something expensive like $5,000 comes about, people are going to dump it. So
Yeah.
these things are going to disappear. They're going to get more rare
Yep.
because the people that buy them either can't run them, or the wrong people are getting their hands on them. And the ones that are good, that are still floating around, they're going to be worth a ton. It's going to happen. 2 to 3 years, guaranteed. So I
Yep.
would buy one now. It ain't going to go any lower. So you have nothing to worry about losing value if you bought one now. You could comfortably own them, you know, and
Yeah.
watch where it
They've
goes.
got to be, if they're not quite at the bottom yet, they've got to be pretty close.
Yeah,
Because they're past that 10-year mark. That's usually a good time range for knowing when things.
absolutely. Right. And if the motor's got a ton of miles on it, okay, then I would give my, go ahead and do your bearings. Okay,
Yeah.
spend 1,500, 2,000 bucks, knock it out. You don't know the history. It's got 150,000 or less on it, whatever. Go do the bearings. But if you're going to be the second owner and it had 60,000 on it, and the guy you're buying it from seems like he knows what he's doing, I wouldn't worry until you had a reason to worry.
Exactly.
I
It's a
drive
lot.
and
It
it's
seems
fun.
like it does seem like a lot of hoopla over nothing because it's.
Right.
I didn't realize. I thought that there was a mileage point where BMW did recommend it, like timing chains on other German cars. I didn't realize it was just. So it's not even officially a preventative thing, other than if you want to do it for your own
Exactly.
feelings.
Right. And I've seen guys on the forums that put brand new bearings in it and in 25,000 miles post have spun them. So explain that and then I'll shut up about it.
It's
But
just it's one of those things. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, whether it's new or it's. That's probably a case of not proper maintenance, beating on the car, not doing the things you're supposed to do.
who knows, man? Who knows? But mine is doing fine, I'll tell you that right now. And the day
Yeah,
that it blows up, I'll be right back here and I'll say what needs to be done to fix it. And I'll show you how I fix it.
we'll follow up on this because Hoovy, he'll take a little time to get this sorted out, but we'll
Mhm.
follow up again when he makes another video and see where he's at with his. And
Absolutely.
it'll be interesting to see if Doug comments on Hoovy's purchase at some point. I'm sure he will in
Oh,
some
yeah.
way.
Hmm.
He'll especially if Hoovy's goes bad. I feel like we'll get a snide little Doug comment that I
Right.
will appreciate because he's good at them.
Well, I heard Doug had an incident in a Hellcat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Google that. But, anyways, moving right along, I think you were telling me before about certain different three cars that are very different but
Yeah,
very.
this was interesting to me. It's there's a few YouTubers. They went to Adam LZ's open house this weekend. I'm not sure which day they're going to the track, but I found it really intriguing just the idea of how different you can make a car when you build it yourself and you do what you want to do with the car and kind of follow your own path. So there's Taylor Ray is his name. He has an LS swapped Miata which he's building for drift. but he's got full suspension mods on it, so he can easily, set that up for a track. We've got a guy named Ricer Miata, who's got an SR20 in a Miata. I think his is a right-hand Miata, so I don't think they actually call them Miatas, but same difference. And then a guy named Tommy F. Who put a K24 and went top of the line with everything you could in terms of suspension and brake mods in his Miata. And they're going to go on a track and battle it out.
That's interesting. I kind of can't.
My gut feeling is that the LS's power to weight ratio is going to be too much for the other two to overcome. But I feel like the biggest deciding factor is going to be driver.
And all three will end up in a ditch. No, I'm no fun.
The K24 one, I believe, I'm not sure if he hasn't updated, but I think if memory serves, he dynoed it at 175 wheel horsepower and he weighed somewhere around 2,100 pounds. The LS is going to be a little heavier, but it's not going to be crazy.
Right.
And the LS dynoed conservatively at 345 wheel. So we're literally talking double power to weight ratio, almost.
Right, which is where I come up with my in a ditch comment. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be real interesting, and I almost kind of hope that the SR20 just comes out of nowhere.
Right.
And just, no one's even considering him, and he just somehow beats them both. That would be really fun.
He's going to win because he'll maintain stability on the track, and the other two just in fire and balls on the side. That's a good way to win a race.
Yeah, but I think this is so interesting because it's like when you look at it too, it's like the one with the K swap, he has top of the line everything. I think I've read an article where he's got $37,000 into the build for a 1996 Miata.
Right.
Some people would look at that as crazy, but I really think it's cool because it's completely the way he wanted it, and it is different. My only knock on it would be there is a K powered Miata already, and it's called an S2000.
Right.
And you could get them for a lot less than $37,000, but it's not his own, and it's not I get all that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the LS Miata, I mean, it's got drop knuckles, it's got control arms, it's got a big brake kit, it's got all the bushing. So it's like it might not be the top of the line version of every one of those mods, but it still has those mods. So it's like, how much difference can a top of the line versus like a middle of the line mod make when you're outpowered by that much? I don't think it's going to be a big enough difference.
No, it's going to be very fun to watch. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Tires and driver are going to decide this.
I would say good luck for both.
Yeah.
Because both have a very strong opposition to meet on that race. You know.
I mean, it's going to be fun though, and they're both new builds, so neither of them is completely dialed yet.
Right.
Which is going to make it even sketchier and more fun. But I think it's super fun, and I think they've played it up. Mostly the guy Tommy, he likes to rib on Taylor, but it's crazy to see the fandoms of both of them just go completely toxic on the other build. And I'm the exact opposite because I'm like, I just think it's cool when someone builds something the way they want and it's their own.
Right, exactly. For whatever
I would never even consider a K-powered Miata just because of the S2000. The LS Miatas are cool just because LSs are cheap power and anything.
Right.
But it's like, I don't think either of them is wrong. I don't think either of them is bad. They're just different. They're both cool for their own reasons.
Exactly. So, in other news, it is almost Christmas, and I have located something really funny.
What's that? Can't read it.
Try it now.
It's off to the side.
Oh, no.
Nice.
Which is pretty funny, and I like it. I like festivity. We can still say
a week. So, were there any car parts on your Christmas list this year?
Yeah, there was fun stuff before my Mercedes blew up. Right now, there's not fun stuff like a fuel pump and fuel filter. I'm thinking it's that because it starts, it runs, and then it kind of dies. I'm only getting around 10 psi at the fuel rail, so delivery is definitely getting cut down by like 40 psi. So there's something going on. Truthfully, I don't have much experience with a fuel pump problem. I haven't experienced that in any other car.
Right.
But I guess there's different failure modes where it's not simple as like it just doesn't turn. Because it is turning, it just isn't making pressure for some reason. So I figure between the pump and the filter, I'm kind of really if that's not it, I'm got to be close at this point. So the car is worth basically nothing monetarily. But to me, it's worth having a nice four-wheel drive, high-up car for the winter, and I could leave my other
Right.
cars in the garage. So for me, I'll drive a rusty Benz around and be very happy with that because I know what that is, saving me on the other end, And it's been a good daily. I mean, wife hates it, but what can I do?
So,
Eventually I'll trade up.
so
But
what fun parts had to get axed off the list to get these parts?
I was going to spend about $500 on the M5. I was going to get the wheels refinished and balanced.
Yep.
Just and true out the rim barrels or whatever. It's a '06, so I'm sure that they're not perfect anymore, especially in New York with the roads. But I wanted to wait until I needed tires, so that way while the tires are off, I could have the rims refinished. I was going to go with like a very close to stock color, but a slightly grayer color.
Yeah, that
Um,
would look nice with the silver.
yeah, so not to look like aftermarket, but just a little darker, silver, maybe. Otherwise, I go fully stock and just leave it. But I don't know. I really don't know the future of it. I love the car. It's just that I'm kind of leaning towards one of these like hyper SUVs. And I just after the wife getting the GTS, I'm just like, she kind of nailed it. She kind of made me look dumb with that purchase because she was like, "Oh, you got three cars? I just need one that does everything. Thanks." Um, so I don't know. If I keep, I'd like to keep the M5. I'd like to keep the Nissan. I don't really care about the Benz. Um, if I can, maybe an X5M, maybe. I don't know anybody that drives them in the winter. I don't know if they're able to be driven in the winter,
Yeah,
but
they're pretty high power.
I think I can make it work. I think with the right wheel and tire setup, we can make it happen. So we will see.
I got the first mod on the way for the G for Christmas. Got the 350Z still in pipe and a pop charger.
Very cool.
That should be here Wednesday. And then I got a Christmas gift early from my girlfriend. She found a nice deal for me to go get the windows tinted,
Oh, very good.
which is
That'll
something
make
that I
sense.
wanted to do on my previous car, never got around to. Want to do it on this car, so that's gonna finally get done.
Uh,
And while I'm at it, I'm gonna debadge it,
cool.
and I'm looking at probably some 350Z springs, just because they're super cheap and they give it about an inch drop, and that would be fine for the winter. And then in the spring, hopefully readdress that situation with some coilovers.
Yeah, definitely. I could have given you my set. I was trying to sell them when I changed to the KW variants on the Nissan, but timing's everything.
Yeah, but I mean, I figure if I haven't really looked yet, but I'm pretty sure stock springs don't cost too much.
Oh no, you could find them for probably $50, or if not free.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a plan there because I want to drop it, but I don't want to go too low, because it's gonna snow. And
yeah.
I got the Kia stuck a couple times. I mean, that was a pretty big drop.
Mm-hmm.
That car was pretty low, but I went in a couple of parking lots where I was like, nope, this is not happening.
Well,
All-wheel drive will help, but I don't want to be a snowplow completely.
so definitely bring it by when you're ready to put them on. We could actually make a video on it and just
Yeah,
do
that's what
some
I was
DIY
thinking.
stuff. Yeah, we haven't done any of that yet. And that'll be a fun way to go.
Yeah, try and get an extra video out every week. I'd like to do
Right.
the weekly podcast and then one video of other, um, whether it be shop stuff, detailing, whatever comes across the table.
Right, definitely. So, all right, well, cool. One final thing. Anybody seen that new Corvette video that's kind of circulating on the internet? It's night. It's in full camo. It's horrible quality, but the audio's there, and it
Yeah,
sounds unbelievable.
yeah, it does.
It doesn't sound like your grandpa's vet.
What was the name of that video so people can search it?
You know what? I'm gonna look it up right now. I don't off the top of my head know, but I guarantee if you write in new vet spy shot or spy track video.
I'm so excited for the new vet for the simple fact of they've been talking about it for so long.
Okay, so here's what you're gonna put in. All right, new Corvette C8R night test. Okay, it's at Sebring. It's about a minute and 41 seconds long. And tell us what you're hearing. I think I'm hearing a sequential manual.
I
I think
think
so.
I mean I think Corvette has to go that direction. Excuse the sirens, New York.
Can't even hear them.
Um,
They're selling a budget supercar. They have to.
No, they do have to, and the mid-engine is super intriguing to me too because I'm curious how they're going to keep it looking like a Corvette.
Right.
Some of the renderings I saw, I'm like, okay, that kind of looks like a Ferrari 458, which is fine. It's not an
That's what they're
unattractive
going
car.
after, I think. I think that they're going after that market,
I think so too.
which is kind of cool.
And
I'm
I mean,
kind of proud of
they're a
America.
little. I mean, their ZR1s used to be more affordable, but so did every other car.
Right.
But mid-engine with a better gearbox, I mean, I think they're gonna be hurting some feelings. I really think they're gonna be hurting some quarter
Right.
$1 million car feelings for probably 115.
I'm a Porsche guy. I'm a German guy. I would be kind of nervous if I was the 911 department right now.
Yeah,
I'd kind of be
absolutely.
paid
The
attention.
the Ferrari and I mean even the Huracan level Lamborghinis. I mean, I don't think this is gonna be GT2 RS or Hurricane Performante type territories on the Nürburgring, but I could be wrong. I mean, they could be knocking on that door
I really do think it might. And what's kind of neat is
for a
this joining
fraction of the cost.
right of Nissan, with the GTR. It's kind of getting in that niche where
Cost of
it's like,
cost of ownership is going to be considerably lower.
right. So, well, that remains to be unseen, with
It's
what they
intriguing.
cost in the long game. But it's definitely going to be interesting. So I would not sleep on the new vet.
No, I wouldn't either. I'm real excited for it to finally happen because I feel like we've been talking about it for 5 years.
Yep.
Uh, I think realistically, the rumors have probably only been like 18 months to 2 years of it's coming soon, but it feels like forever in terms of it's not quite as drawn out as the NSX was, but I don't want it to get there.
NSX was a disappointment. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that was too long.
I don't
Super
know.
gonna be
For what,
worse.
for what they came out with, it's no LFA. Let's put it to you that way.
No, no, it's not. And then um, one last thing we can end after this where we've gone on for a little while here.
Mhm.
I haven't read into it too much. I'm gonna have to research it, but I saw it and it caught my eye. Is I saw a rumor of Toyota bringing back the MR2, which would be super intriguing depending on price point.
Yep,
Um,
and horsepower.
and also, is it still mid-engine? MR2 was a cool car in the 90s. It
Right.
was, it was probably one of the most affordable mid-engine cars.
Yep.
They
Really
were
cool sports
different. They
car.
were neat. Um, I'd like to see Toyota bring back the MR2 because supposedly they're also bringing back the Supra. It would
Mhm.
be really cool if Toyota had a sports car lineup again. It's been a
It
long
would
time
be-
without it.
Yeah, they've spent a lot of time making cars for nobody, and it'd be nice if they actually started paying attention to people who like cars.
Yeah.
Again.
Yep.
Uh,
And I know that there's not a lot of money in sports cars anymore, and there's not even a lot of money in cars anymore. It's all in crossovers. And from a business perspective, I get that they did what they had to do, but I mean,
yeah, I'd say it's in their budget. I think they
hashtag make Toyota great again.
right. I think it's in there.
That's where I'm at. It's just some of the most iconic '90s sports cars were Toyotas, and it's
Right.
still the the one JZ and the two JZ is it's two of the most iconic motors. I mean, they're not huge differences in the two, but it's like people are still swapping two Js into anything possible, especially
That's
in the
for
drift
sure.
scene.
Right, and there's no more new ones coming out. So whatever's out there is out there, and that's going to be it.
But
So
it'd be cool if the Supra is going to be a BMW power plant, which it's interesting, but it's not as cool. It'd be cool if this MR2 thing turned out to be true,
right,
and it was a Toyota power plant. I'm gonna have to look into it more. I just saw a quick post about it as a possibility, and I personally hope it's true, but it could also just be internet renderings and wishful thinking.
right. So I guess we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, definitely. But
All
on
right.
that note, I think this is a good spot to wrap up. Um, go to Shop Golo Auto. We've got the limited
man,
run of the
me
hoodies
too.
available.
I like that. I want to get one.
I got black and gray. There's all sorts of different colors available for the logos. They're only $35. I went as low cost as I could. For
Very simple.
45, you can get one custom with your Instagram name on it. I've done some with it down the sleeve that came out pretty nice. I can do it on the front, back, whatever you want. We can discuss that. I got free shipping on stickers currently. Only $5 for the stickers.
Nice.
And give a follow on Instagram.
That's free.
Solo auto.
That costs nothing.
Exactly.
There you go.
$0. And likes are free too. So like, comment, subscribe. Um, Please weigh in on the M5 debate. Let us
Yeah,
know
I'm
what you
curious.
think.
Yeah.
And also let us know any topics that you want to discuss next week. I read the comments. I comment back to everybody. And we'd love to talk about stuff that you guys are interested in. If you have any questions about either of our cars, about any of our opinions on cars, we'd love to discuss it.
Right on. So everybody, if we don't get together before then, have a very nice holiday. Have a Merry Christmas, and
Absolutely. And next
it's,
video will
it's,
probably try and squeeze one more in before Christmas, but if not, Merry Christmas, and we will see you guys soon.
all right. Have a good one.
Have a good one.